Hello there, Niiamah Ashong here. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of your journey. I should actually say letting us, because today on the Outliers Edge Roundtable, we have four incredible individuals who are going to share their experiences as outliers and how that's helped shape the businesses, the impact, and the organizations that they lead. Today, I am really honored to be in space with Christy, Princess, Justin, and Damian. We're going to have each of you introduce yourself so that outliers get a chance to know you. Why don't we start with Christy, then we'll go to Princess, and we'll continue from there.
Good morning. I am so excited to be here and to find out where this conversation goes. As Niiamah said, my name is Christy Holt. I also call myself the Happiness Hussy, and that is because I am on a mission to spread happiness throughout the world. And my podcast is called Create Your Happy. I'm also a international best-selling author, and through my works, I am, really wanting to focus on helping people to create healthy, loving relationships. And now I know most of you have incredibly successful businesses, and I want to help you to create a relationship that is as lit as your business. So thank you for inviting me here today, and I look forward to getting to know all of the panelists.
Why don't we come to you, Princess, and then we'll go to Justin. We're coming here, outliers, we're listening in. Princess just on mute in the air. Here we go. Hey, Princess.
Thank you so much, Niiamah. Thank you for this opportunity. Like Christy, I am also glad and excited to be here. Princess Otibu is my name. I am the founder, and I also consider myself the visionary for Aligning Minds Network. At the heart of what I do is to help individuals live authentic lives and to lead from within, particularly focusing on the mindsets that they need to really live the life that they desire. Aligning Minds is a coaching company that works primarily with leaders. We help leaders identify those mindsets that actually prevent them, stop them, delay them from really living lives authentically. I am so glad to be here to add value to this conversation, and I'm excited to see, what Niiamah has in store for us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Justin, then we'll finish off with Damian.
Well, hello there. So I'm Justin, and I am a physical outlier because I reside in the United Kingdom and have for the past 15 years now, I guess, heading out there. And I work in the nonprofit industry. So I'm the chief executive of a small charity here in the UK, but I also serve in the government with a ministerial appointment representing people with disabilities in the East Midlands region. So if you had to identify a mission of what I do, I like to make people's lives easier. I think that we all have far too much pressure, whether it be from politics, society, work, or family, relationships. Everybody here deals with pressure. And so I think that taking the pressure off and releasing the steam is the way to go. And I have found that in my industry, I used to work for Disney. I'm still on the board of directors of the Alumni Club in California. And I have found that by doing that, by removing the pressure, doing the opposite of what they teach you in, management schools, gets infinitely better results from anyone else. So what does that mean? That means I set lower targets. So they say, oh, get a stretch target, something that's going to stretch you. I don't do that. Not in the workplace. I give people things that they can achieve easily. When they do, their confidence goes up, morale goes up, and then I can set another target that's a little bit higher. Rather than the other way around, when they stretch and they just about, because in personal development they say reach for the moon, and even if you don't get there, you'll be among the stars. And that's a great quote for setting your own personal goals and your personal vision. And I'm sure some of you teach this. But when you're in the workplace, the opposite's true. You shoot for the moon and you don't get there, your morale goes down and your self-confidence goes down, and then you don't achieve it. Like in the stock market, if you say to people, you predict, you forecast $500 million profits, and you get 475 million. That sounds great, right? But no, the stock will go down. However, if you forecast 350 million, but then you make 360 million, well, that's not as good as 475, is it? But your stock will then go up. Your shareholders will have more confidence in you. And that's a mass psychology lesson that applies in the workplace on an individual basis. It's not to say that you lower expectations, but you just leverage momentum. Give people something that they can achieve, give them some wins, and then they go for it. And that's a way to make life easier in the workplace. And I do that, on the level of policy making as well with the government, because I try to remind everyone there's so much pressure in life, so much stress. If you could do something to relieve that, then I think you're doing people a service. So I'm not here to sell anything, although I have mentored people in the past. People, they can reach out to me, and I will offer that if they want to, but that's not my profession, and it's not what I do full time. However, I've said my piece. So there you go.
Well, I appreciate it. Keep bringing it, because there are some elements of what you're saying that I really want to keep expanding on. I'm excited for Outliers to play with it. Leveraging momentum. That's something here. Outliers, like put that into your mind and see what you can do with that. All right, Damian, let's get to know you, and then we'll continue on from there.
Yeah, cool. Hello. My name is Damian Del Valle, from the Sonoran Desert, born and raised. Sonora es my cultura. Indigo Child is the podcast and kind of the platform that I'm hoping to branch off to in the future. My full-time profession is as a professional outdoor adventure guide, a wilderness first responder, also a wedding officiant that kind of tied into that, which was not a part of my plan, but it ended up being incorporated into it. So professionally taking people safely out into the wilderness, whether it be hiking, mountain biking, rock climbing, backpacking, bikepacking, those sorts of things. And that kind of translated into Indigo Child, basically just being a platform to hold space for other individuals. That was a big thing that was crucial for me at a younger age, heading down a negative path, and then realizing that there's people that actually care on a human level. So aside from helping people professionally, I think it's a really cool opportunity to just learn to meet yourself and other individuals around you at just a human level, learning that we all kind of are similar in some way, shape, or form. We all have obstacles we're confronting, and that's kind of going to always be a thing as we get older and as we progress in our personal lives. And so I think when you kind of learn to bring it back to, I'm here as a human being, you can stop putting so much pressure on yourself, still build and grow and work hard. But I think life can be much simpler, and we tend to complicate that. So Indigo Child is just a platform for individuals to be here to hold space for anybody. And hopefully we can all just learn and grow and heal. And I guess my goal there and my aim is just to leave the space better than the way I found it. Right.
Well, I appreciate each and every one of you coming on here. What I love here is if you have a variety of backgrounds, right? Like our missions are all underneath a big umbrella of uplifting the world and the people around us. And we're all choosing different ways to go do it. And so as I look at here, I'm like, all right, cool. Outliers have united. Let's go and see what we can play with from there. Let's start things off here with a component of, I want each of you to think about something that you offer to through your business or through the work that you do. And this might be a program that you do. This might be something that you bring out to others as a course, a coach, and whatever it is. And Justin, there's an equivalent for you in terms of like the programs that you offer through your business and the nonprofit and beyond. What I want to start off here is just like bringing that outlier advantage, right? So can you speak to one of the things that you offer there and how you use something that makes you different, something that is able to like be made easier or made that much more effective because of what you specifically bring to the table. This may not be you delivering it, but it might be something that you've infused in it or a way of looking at things. So I'd like to just kind of keep this one open here and see here. Is there anyone who would want to respond to that?
Sure, I can respond to that because the reason I'd like to go first is because it's interesting you mentioned because of the nonprofits thing. I have been asked many times over the last 40, 45 years, because I'm older than I look, and so what I've done is I've just written up a bunch of stuff. So I'm not, like Chrissy, with an author with all these books in the background, which is really cool. But I do have this little online bookstore that I set up with a bunch of PDFs. Some of them are, a quick toilet read, some, it's a couple of minutes, and then there's a couple longer ones in there where I've basically outlined my process in a book, if you will, which is very short and easy to read. But then, you don't really need to hire me or anything like that. So if somebody really wants to find that kind of stuff out, then I do have that. I do have that available. The website is getitdone.com, because my name is Justin Dunn. So it's Get It Done, but it's spelled with 2 N's. So, you'll have to probably ask Niiamah to spell that out for people, or visually show it somehow. But it is there if people want to see it. That is what I do. It's what I've done and I tell stories about, what I've done at Disneyland and how I applied that in the nonprofit sector. Because I got into this industry through Prince Charles. He's now the King of England, but at the time he was the Prince of Wales, and I got into it through him because what people don't know is he's set up about 20 charities over his lifetime. About 15 of them are still in existence, and he brought me in to lead one of them, and so that was a very interesting experience for me to transfer some of the things from Disney and see how some of that would work in a whole other sector. I know there's a famous marketer out there that I've spoken to who specializes in that, borrowing benefits from other businesses and all that. And I took that on board, and I took that advice, and I adapted things. And I think that is not only interesting, but it's also valuable, because there's a lot of functional and cross-pollinating that can be done between different industries, or we call it sectors here. We don't, industry just means like factories, but there is that available there. So I've written up a lot of that, and people can go see it. Other than just me focusing on one company or one organization or anything like that. So I wanted to start off by saying that, because I don't want everybody to think that, talk about outlier, then you'll get complaints and people saying, yeah, you brought this guy in and he's too much of an outlier. He doesn't even speak the same language. And I'm like, no, I do have, something to offer, not as large and comprehensive as these other folks, but there is that. So if someone is interested and they want to know more, that I've got some inexpensive, quick, and easy access to those things. They are available. It's not my primary focus in life right now, but it is there. That way, when people ask the question, I don't have to continually, explain myself. I could just, here you go. Just read that if you want, and then that answers everything.
I love this here, Justin. We're gonna keep the question up. I want to hear from everyone else on this. But I am deeply interested in what you do, like in your minister work and your ministry work, as well as in nonprofit. So I'm actually very curious about that. I'm like, we're covered. We got some other bases covered, but I'm like I like the fact that you have something different bringing. I'm like, my mind is churning with questions as well. But look, why don't we go back here? We'll keep opening it up here. But you're good, Justin. You're like, my thing is like, show us. This goes to everyone. Bring your outlier as much as it is, like, and let me have to navigate that. I like that. You just be you. You just be you, and I'll play from there. I saw Princess. You wanted to say something? Oh, Christy. Let's go with Christy first, and we'll go to Princess.
Thank you. I really want to say that one of the things that makes me stand out from other people is that I am in the self-help personal development space, and yet I approach it quite differently than a lot of other people. So I think that's what makes me stand out. I have my own, I call it the CREATE methodology. It is an acronym because I love words. I'm a writer, so I love the words. And that is a unique system that's not linear in any way, shape, or form. I can't give you the instruction manual to go through it because humans are too complicated. But what my aim is with that is to meet the whole human right where they're at, to help them develop their game plan. So I want to help people to get off this endless treadmill of personal improvement and step into life as the whole person they were designed to be. So it's not about becoming someone else. It's about being that person right here, right now. And that is quite a bit different than a lot of the personal help stuff that's really geared towards honestly keeping you stuck, right? Giving you tools that just keep your wheels spinning instead of getting you traction. And especially when it comes to relationships. I mentor on relationships because this is the road that I have been down. The school of life has taught me immense wisdom about relationships, both the good kind and the bad kind. And so I can't help myself but share what I have picked up along the way because I know that it can change people's lives. And it's not actually about the relationship. So I often say you don't have a relationship problem, you have an identity problem. And so this is taking it back to that whole human so that we can approach this not from a you're broken, you need fixing standpoint, but from a you are already whole. Let's step into that next level magic.
Thank you for that, Christy. I want to keep bringing in some more people in here. So, Princess, why don't you share with us? So, on the table here is like, how are you bringing your uniqueness? How are you bringing some of your style into what you do, and how does that benefit the people you work with?
Great question. One of the things I think I bring to the table is my experience and my expertise. Right now, for me, when I look online, I see a lot of coaches. It's almost as though the industry is saturated. And what I bring to the table is about 20 plus years experience from corporate America, where I once led a nonprofit. I know that Justin is currently doing that. And I'm bringing life lessons with me in addition to, my training as a coach. I've learned how to fail well. In my first few years as a leader of this organization, there were things I did that did not handle failure well. And I'm teaching people how to learn how to fail and embrace failure, chase failure, because when we think of success, we often think of the wins and we think of, all of the good things. But I've come to learn that failure is actually part of success. And embracing that helps people move along, help them. Christy mentioned something about getting stuck. A way to get unstuck or a way to move past being stuck is really embracing failure, leveraging failure, and using it as a launch pad into, the next phase of your life. I do that when the coaching that I offer people has a lot to do, like I mentioned earlier, with, leading from within, focusing on mindset. I currently have a newsletter that's published weekly on LinkedIn called The Inner Shift. Understanding that transformation, in as much as a lot of people want transformation to happen instantly, there's that, can I be fixed? There's this thing when you say you're a coach, people immediately begin to think that you're a fixer. You're here to fix them. You're here to just wave a wand and everything happens. And I often tell a lot of my clients, it took you X amount of years to be who you are. And it's going to take you some time to unlearn, right? Some of those things that have become the norm for you. And I like to say that we do that one shift at a time. So in, helping people really develop the mindset that they need to succeed as leaders, I work from, the inside out. And I also have a book that is published. It's called Elevate Your Day. And what that has is just things that individuals who are emerging leaders can do every day to really shift that needle in the direction of their desired future selves, their desired future goals. So those are some of the things that I bring to the table.
Thank you for that. I like playing with this here. Damian, is there anything that you want to add to this?
Yeah, I guess my different approach. So, as a professional guide, it can be a lot of fun just to be out exploring the world, right? And I think what makes me different is my approach that we take to it. So, one of the things that we do is I run a series of high ropes challenge course activities. Like I said, they can just be a blast. We try to bring a much more intentional approach to it. So, we set intentions. It's all about sharing a little bit of a vulnerable space. And the way that I like to approach it is, you can learn breath work, you can learn meditation, you can learn the practice of mindfulness. And it's one thing to do it in a temperature controlled room, right, when someone's guiding you through it. And it's another to practice that breath work when you're in a real life stressful situation, right? And so my approach to it is to offer you an opportunity to sit in a vulnerable space, right? You can learn about yourself when you do dangerous things safely. I do a lot of dangerous things, but I like to do them as safe as I possibly can, right? And so the approach to that is, let's set an intention. Let's go a little bit deeper, instead of saying, I just want to get through this hard activity. Why do you want to get through it? Right? Maybe the challenge is trusting yourself. Maybe the challenge is trusting others. Maybe the challenge is letting go of control. Maybe the challenge is, if you're a person that likes to overanalyze, maybe you should go first and see what it's like to adventure, right? Maybe you're the person that just wants to get through it. Maybe the challenge for you is to go last and really sit with that anticipation, right? Learn to navigate through the anxiety that you have. And so my approach to self-help and the things that I'm trying to implement in the future is, we all have cards that we're dealt with. I don't believe that I'm meant to change. I think I'm meant to channel. So if you're a person that's manipulative, right, you can be very motivational. If you're a person that's very anxious, you can learn to be excited. If you're a person that's very stubborn, you can learn to be very determined. And so my approach is, I'm not anything special. I'm a human being that's on the same journey that we all are on. And let me just kind of take you through that journey with myself as well, right? I'm fairly young. I know I have many years to learn and grow. And so my approach is, I'm learning with you, right?
I appreciate each of you here, and you just said something that sparked my attention here. We said I do dangerous things safely. I love those kind of juxtapositions on it, where it's like let's not stop from doing the dangerous thing, but let's go and make sure we can do it as safely as we can. Like for me, I often will say I like to do heavy things in a light way. Like let's go to it. But you might see me smile. You might see like I often say want to play, because I'm like that's my cue to say like, hey, let's get into it. I love that juxtaposition there. And Justin, you earlier said something that caught my attention. You talked about taking the pressure off, and when you were talking about taking the pressure, you said it's the opposite of what they like might teach you in management schools. And that got me thinking here, around for each of you, what's something that you do, and just you can also bring in like another thing that might be counterintuitive or opposite of what others think. But what's something that you do, or what's something that you found, or a lesson you found that is actually opposite of what most people might believe in terms of what will actually help them either gain success or what has worked for you. And I like to put this here because I know a lot of outliers right now. We're like, I know I have to do things my way. For some reason, I've tried other people's way and it's not working out. And now it's time for me to go and just like say, like, I believe in myself, and whether I will do this until it works rather than if it works. And I think there's something about that framing of like being able to just take it and feel like most people say this, but honestly, what I found is the opposite works. That really comes alive. Is there anyone that has anything like that is sparking out to them? I'd like to go around really quickly just to see like what's everyone's take on that.
I think I'll go.
Thanks,
I think
Princess.
when people hear the word leadership, initially, I think the first thing that comes to mind is title, what they do. And going back to, something I said about bringing my experience and my expertise to what I do, I found that when people come to even introduce themselves, the first thing they talk about is what they do. And you are not what you do. I found that statement for myself very liberating. You are not what you do, because what you do is fluid. What you do can change from day to day, from season to season, from year to year. And personally, I found myself at this crossroads when I had to go through a transition with employment. I was in a place where I figured, I had it made. Life was Gucci, as they put it, and it was fun. But what happened when I had to transition out of that position, I find myself lost. It was almost as though I had lost myself. So a big part of what I do is getting people, I like to say, I like to introduce you to you, getting to know yourself outside of what you do, outside of the wonderful certifications, the wonderful things that you have accomplished. who are you really? And that entails a level of self-awareness that includes finding out what are your core values? What are those things that you are good at? What are your strengths? What are your passions? What are those things that that makes you you? What makes you different from the next person? So something that really sparks for me is being able to make that distinction between who you are and what you do different, finding, because when you lose yourself in what you do, it becomes a performance. Your identity becomes lost in, it's performance driven. So on a day that you don't perform well, then you're not a good person, right? But on a day that you're hitting all the targets and you are checking off everything, then it becomes a great day. So I think being able to really see life from that perspective and really separating yourself from what you do, you are not what you do, has been a really big deal for me, and in what I share with my clients.
I love it. Outliers, you're not what you do here. Christy, I saw you earlier. What would you like to contribute? Is there something on this one here with the opposites that come out for you as well?
Oh, I will absolutely hop in because I think life is one big paradox and there is room for both of the things, doing the dangerous things safely, finding both commitment and passion, and finding different truths about the same thing that look like they could be opposite. I love what Princess said. I am also a firm believer of it's not about what you're doing, it's about who you're being. And that is how you create your experience. So, and I want to piggyback off, I think Justin mentioned goals and oh, no, sorry, it was Damian. It was the goals and intentions. And I am not a fan of goals. Although I do like the way Justin mentioned the mini goals, right? Taking it one step at a time. I'm a big fan of that because that keeps you motivated and keeps you moving towards success. That said, I am not a big fan of goals per se because I think intentions are far more powerful. That's you setting the intention of who you're going to be rather than what you're going to do. And success lies in who you're being, not in what you're doing.
Awesome. Let's play out here. There's something else, Justin, that you brought up that I want to come back to. You talk about the cross-pollination between different sectors, right? That is really interesting for me because a lot of outliers who are listening here have lived multiple lives in a sense. They've lived in multiple countries, multiple countries. They've had different they've lived in different industries and or sectors depending on where you are in the world. And a lot of times I'll even speak to myself here. Like when I got into this world, I was a retirement actuarial consultant. Then I went to do company culture and learning and development at a tech company, and then I became an entrepreneur on top of that, right? So I'd love to talk about the cross-pollination from two sides of things. One, let's start off with just one road first. And the road that I wanted to start off is like, how have you like cross-pollinated your own experiences to bring it to to the different things that you're doing? And so this, I want to start with you because you have like it. In my mind, you have two different things going on. They're both related in the impact world and being with people, but they feel different. So maybe you can start us off there, and then we'll.
Yeah, well, I mean that's fair enough. I've worked in probably about a dozen different industries or sectors. I've lived in many different countries. I have 3 passports and citizenships in all 3 countries, and I speak 7 languages. So I know what you mean about like floating around. I've probably had a dozen careers if you think about working in different sectors. So it's you could look at it one of two ways. You could look at it, well, you've had a dozen failures then because you didn't stick with it all the way, right? But like Princess says, obviously some of these things need to, you need to fail. What was that? Fail, good.
Fail successfully.
Fail well. You need to. Well, so I failed well so that I feel well. It's there's the thing for you. Or the other thing is like like Chrissy mentions, and I'm going to phrase it my own way. You're not a whole. You're a whole person. Not a whole. So I think it's although that could be dirty, but no. But anyway, so it's just it's a funny thing, but it's true in a way. And I think that for me, you're asking about like, maybe some examples of when one industry is quite. it's really about just being being aware of where you're at, and not forgetting, and having a good memory. Really, I don't know how to explain it other than that, because I remember what I may be, close to 50 years old, but I remember what happened, when I was a child. I know what you're thinking. There's no way he's 50. Yeah, I am. This Damian could be my son, but and Chrissy my daughter. But I mean, I know we don't look like it, but it's just we look very different, But the thing is how so you just have to remember. You remember what you did over here. I remember what I did at the Barnes and Noble in Encino when I was just a bookseller. I remember what worked and what didn't work. I remember at Disneyland, 20 years ago. So it's just that, and then I can observe, and also it's having your antenna up, your radar up, whatever you want to call it. So it's not just what I did; it's what others did, and it's the things that worked in the company. So I'm not saying I invented lots of these things at Disneyland. No, I didn't. Some of them, yeah, but not all of them. But then when I brought some of those things and sort of translated them to how would that work for, Prince Charles's, charity that helps young people, disadvantaged young people, to get a job or start a business. That's not how they say it, but that's how I always said it, to raise money, because that makes it more real for people. What are you doing? But in any case, how do you translate that? It's just having a good memory and having your antenna up. And I saw what worked, what didn't work, and then that's it. And I think that is really the crux of it. It's not something that I would be able to teach someone, because you just really have to observe what's obvious. You have to observe what's in front of you, and also you have to remember, because that saying, power, knowledge is power. That's not really true. Knowledge is power, but only if it's used. But that's not even totally true, because knowledge is only power if it's remembered and used. Then it's power. So that's all I'm saying. How do you teach that? I don't know. Go take a memory course. Go take and so there's that aspect of it, and that's really what I'd say.
Yeah,
I
I
don't want to
appreciate
forget
that.
to add one thing, though.
Yeah.
So that little phrase that Damian said, I do dangerous things safely. That's an earworm. That I can't get that out of my head. You should use that as your strap line when you introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Damian Del Valle. I do dangerous things safely. And then you go on to the rest of it. Because honestly, I'll never forget that for the rest of my life. And I have a good memory. Yeah. But also, I think anyone who meets you will never forget that if you introduce yourself that way. Just my 2 cents.
I'm glad you brought it. I mean, like, let's open the mic for you. Like, what you got on anything so far?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. The reason I like to say that I do dangerous things safely is because danger looks so different to everybody, right? And so, like, to me, I feel I'm way more in a state of danger every day I drive to work than I am mountain biking down some super steep rock slabs, right? And it's just because of personal experience. I can't control other drivers on the road. I have total control of my bicycle and the things that I try to throw myself into. One of the things that I like to tell my clients and guests is, our brains are 100% programmed for survival. And so we don't really often know the difference between real threats and perceived threats. And so, obviously, when we're up on a high ropes course, you're a human being. I think two of the fears that we're born with is the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. And so if you interpret being up in the air as I'm going to fall to the ground to a bad consequence, then your mind will just, prove yourself right, and you'll go down the rabbit hole of negative what ifs. And so when you can come back into, like, what can I feel? What can I, remind yourself that you're held on a rope. Remind yourself that this supports 5,000 pounds. None of you can create 5,000 pounds. You can bring it back into a safe place, right? And so it's the practice of, like, I may not be able to control what's happening around me, but I can 100% control the way that I choose to respond to those things. And so that's brought a lot more power back into my hand as a person just confronting life. It's like, okay, all of these things are happening. I can't control any of it. I can't control my breathing. I can't control where my internal dialogue is going. I can control, having tools in my tool belt to help me navigate through those stressful situations. And sometimes they get the better of you, right? It's kind of the constant battle of, like, trial and error, and then taking a step back, right? Do your best every single day. Maybe your best is just getting out of bed on that particular day, right? And stepping out of the door, getting a little bit of sunlight. Maybe, your best is going to look different when you're in perfect health versus when you're not. And so I think for me, it's just learning to take all these different approaches and perspectives, and then learning like, okay, today I'm right here, right now. I'm going to be where my feet are, and I'm just going to learn to take it one step at a time. I think has been my personal challenge, because I tend to demand much more of myself than I think we all do, right? We're all our biggest critics. And I like what Christy was saying about goals. I have the same mentality. I think intentions are much more meaningful. And then one thing that I learned is like I set goals, but I don't set goals for what the reward is of achieving that goal. Like my mindset of goals is set a goal for what you can learn about yourself while in the process of achieving that goal. So maybe the goal is to make $1 million. It's not necessarily for the $1 million, because you can spend that and lose it. But it's like, what can you learn about yourself? The habits that you create, the sacrifices that you've made, while in the process of achieving those things. So it's like a continuous, you're constantly improving, you're constantly learning and growing. And I like the idea of failing, right? Like sometimes the best way to learn to do something right is do it wrong 100 times. Sooner or later, hopefully it sticks and you'll learn to figure out the right way to do something. So my approach is just taking it a day at a time, and learning and stepping outside of their comfort zone, right? If you don't step outside of your comfort zone from time to time, it just gets smaller and smaller until all you're doing is on the couch watching Netflix your whole life, and it just passes right in front of you, right? So don't let that happen.
You hear that there, Outliers, like that call in. So we're coming on close to the end here. I do want to see for Christy and Princess, if you have anything you want to say around the cross-pollination for yourself, and then we're going to wrap up for today.
Absolutely. I think, just like Damian said, it is about the journey, not the destination. And throughout my life, and I love you, Justin, for saying that I look young enough to be your child when I am 45 this year. So thank you so much for that glowing compliment. I appreciate you. Happy people look younger. Am I right? So my history is all over the place. I started my first business at 14 as a piano teacher. I then became a professional accountant. I worked in a professional accounting firm for a number of years. I did a little bit of time in industry. I've taught accounting at post-secondary educational levels. And then I had a family, and things really shifted for me, becoming a mom. I'm now a mom to 4 teenage boys, and it is a lot. But when I had my kids, things really shifted for me. I decided to go down a road that felt more like my passion at the time, which led me to health coaching, which led me to mindset coaching, which led me to a lot of personal life experiences, including a divorce that led me to the incredible relationship that I'm in today. And so it's every single one of those little pieces contributing to what I'm offering today. That's how I can mentor people, because I have been through a lot of things and been, on this lifelong journey of growing and expansion. And that's what I most love to support other people to do as well, to find their journey, to find the joy in the journey, because the truth is, you're not going to find happiness out there or down the road. You're going to find it right here, right now. That's the only time and place that you're going to find that. So let's bring you back to you.
Thank you, Christy. Princess, anything you want to say on the topic of cross-pollination? We'll take it real quickly, and then we'll have one more question to wrap us all up. You're muted right now.
Absolutely. I apologize. Absolutely. I think, Justin, Christy, and Damian have done a great job just sharing, how, cross-pollination has impacted, the work they currently do. For myself, being an individual who's lived in at least 3 continents around the world, experienced different cultures, and coming from a very large family, understanding, who I am, and not who others say I am, or the work that I do, being able to distinguish that has really helped me in showing authentically, and also helping other people show up authentically as well. Damian said something earlier on, in helping people do dangerous things safely. I do echo that. That's going to be something that I, definitely would not be forgetting anytime soon, is, the meanings that we attach to what we go through. I think life is neutral. And it's we are the ones that kind of give meaning to our lives and our experience. So whatever a person goes through, whatever you go through, you are, for example, I talked about failure earlier on. It's an event, right? It's not an identity. So being able to make that distinction goes a long way. So being able to go through life and being able to see it from a standpoint of this is a journey, right? I'm on a journey and things will happen, but the meaning I give to it can either impede me or stop me from moving forward, or can propel me from moving, into the next phase. So definitely taking my experience and being able to leverage my experience as a launch pad for what I do, is key to, how I bring cross-pollination into my space. So thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you here. We're going to wrap up this conversation in I'm going to be mindful of your time. So we're going to wrap up here. I want to make sure everyone knows how they can continue on with you. And if you even have like a sentence around some kind of insight that you took, that you got from this, we've shared it with a lot for other people. I know I got from this conversation. If you'd like to just share like one thing that you got here in a sentence or two, put that in here. But let's make sure we know how to continue on with you. We'll start with Christy, then we'll go to Damian, then we'll go to Justin, then we'll go to Princess to wrap us up. So Christy, how do we continue down your world, and what's an insight you got in a sentence or two?
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. The best way to get in touch with me is probably through my website. That's sort of the portal to all of the things. You'll find the links to my books, to my podcast, to my courses, and to my various mentorship packages. Of course, I'm always looking to meet the whole human. So if there's something that you think I can support you with that's not clearly outlined there, let's have a conversation. I love to have conversations. As far as a final thought.
It's an insight that you got from this conversation.
Yeah, there are so many. I'm just trying to choose which one. I love the meshing together of everyone's stories. I think we all shared a lot of similar wisdom, and so it's really hard to choose one. And I don't want to, talk about the
I
doing
appreciate
dangerous
that.
things again, but
Yeah.
I think like one of the things that kind of stood out for me is motivation. And that is something that often people look to externally from themselves. And this is something that I was thinking about as other people were talking, that this is an inside job. And so if you do that inner work, then you will find that motivation to keep doing those things that really light you up. This will take you down the path that you want to be on. And your authentic path, the one that's aligned for you, is the one that's going to make you happiest and make the biggest impact in life, love, and legacy. So just following your heart is really the key thing there, I guess.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. We're at the top of the hour, so I want to make sure we get everyone to bring in at least their contact info, and then if you can, we'll wrap up from there. So, Nami, we'll go with you, Justin, Princess, and then we'll connect.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. Really appreciate it. One of the things that I'll take away is just being able to meet like-minded individuals, and it's kind of been the constant reminder that I do in my work. I've worked with people in their 20s. I've worked with people in their 90s that are still learning how to confront fears and tackle new things in life. And so it's a constant reminder. It doesn't matter where you're at, what you have, and what you don't have. We're all learning and growing and healing in some way, shape, or form. So be gentle with yourself and be graceful along that journey. You can contact me through my Instagram is mainly like the only thing that I have right now. I've been trying to step away from digital media, but in the near future, that will be the form that I'm probably implementing things. So that Instagram is I am that guide, because I am an outdoor adventure guide, as well as my email, which I think
we'll make sure people can get access to that. No problem.
Yeah, sweet. Which you will have access to. Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to hopefully having conversations with the rest of you again.
Sounds awesome. Justin, how about you?
So I'll start with my little summary of what I got out of today, because it's very quick, but I think it's very meaningful. And for me, I like what Chrissy is doing and sharing, because you're not a piece of cheese full of holes. You're a whole person. I practice that in work, in what I do and what I share. That's one of the secrets, is I don't expect people to not be themselves and leave, their problems and families at home when they come to work or anything like that. You're a whole person. So I love that. I love what Damian's saying. Like I said, I'm going to say it again. That's you got to be your motto and your strap line. I'm Damian Del Valle. I do dangerous things safely. I think that's awesome. Anyway, so I think, but I also think that's not just a motto. That could actually be someone's mantra or someone's little goal that they do, because you don't want to put yourself at risk. You don't want to die or anything like that. But I think if you do something dangerously safely, that could be a really a good goal. I mean, Richard Branson said, if your goal doesn't scare you a little bit, it's not a good goal. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I certainly know that it sounds good. So maybe you want to have a goal that's just a little bit dangerous, and you do it safely in a way that doesn't, gonna mean you're homeless or whatever. But anyway, so I really love that, and of course Princess brings in the whole aspect of, I've mentioned it before, fail well and feel good. I say that, fail well and feel good. But there's another thing that she brings up, and it's more than just that. It's also the fact that you're not what you do. And obviously you're not what you do. I've done a dozen different things. Otherwise I've got a psychiatric disorder, which I've not been diagnosed with yet. So the thing is you're not what you do. But there's another side to that, in that it is useful to, let's say, take on or assume a category of identity and be that thing for a period of time and for the purpose of achieving something that you intend to achieve that day. So if I want to be this thing for this period of time in order to achieve that and help this individual. So that can be useful as long as you don't get stuck in it and dwell in it, and you realize that you're the bee, you're not the pollen. And so you're cross-pollinating all these things. So like I got that out of what Princess said, and I may be extrapolating and reading into it far too much, but I did get that from you, so thank you. And if anybody wants to connect with me, whether it's social media or whatever, I'd love to hear from you. Or if you don't want to connect with and you just want to get some of my stuff, it's getitdone.com, which is simple, GETITDONNE.com. And that's it.
An absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, Justin. Princess, bring us home today. Let us know how we can continue down your journey, and we'll wrap up for today. Thank you all for staying on a little bit longer.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure doing this. Thank you for this platform and this opportunity to just come and share some of, nuggets of wisdom, like I like to call it. Some of my insights that I'm walking away from, because I am a lifelong learner, always looking for opportunities to learn. Christy, definitely looking at intentions more than goals. Damian definitely will not be forgetting how we can do dangerous things safely. And I mean, Justin, just looking at how you are leveraging, I like to call this the law of transferable wisdom, how you were bringing your experience from Disney and doing just great work in a charity organization there in the UK. Just truly phenomenal. How you can actually continue your journey with me, I am on LinkedIn. My name is Princess Otibu. I also have my website called Aligning Minds Network. If you are interested in one-on-one coaching, group coaching, mentoring, or if you have no time and say, hey, I would just like to take some courses, we have that available for you as well. The email is aligningmindsnetwork.com. Thank you.
Well, thank all of you. I appreciate you for bringing your outlier. I appreciate you bringing your outlier advantage and showing us what the edge that comes with it all is all about. I wish you all tremendous success. And until then, be you on purpose. All right. Journey on.
Yeah. Thank you.